Something we've never seen in the history of the housing market just happened. So in this video, I'm going to show you why brand new homes are now cheaper than existing homes. And I'm going to explain why this almost never happens. And finally, I'll talk about what this flip tells us about where the housing market is headed next. Because when new construction becomes the discount option, the market is telling you something that most people are missing. The housing market hasn't just slowed down, it has flipped on its head. The median price of a new construction home was about $392,000. The median price of an existing home, $420,000. So let's be clear from the very beginning. This is not about a housing crash, and it's not just another affordability headline. This is something much more important than those. So first, let's just talk about why this almost never happens. For almost every modern housing cycle, there's been one rule that has never been broken, and that is new homes just cost more than old homes. And it's not just because they're newer, but also because of how the market is structured. See, builders normally protect pricing. They control supply carefully. They release homes slowly. They avoid cutting prices because it devalues everything they've already built. And at the same time, existing homeowners usually have flexibility. See, they can usually wait. They can pull a listing off the market if they want to. They can rent out their property instead of selling. So a homeowner has a lot more flexibility than an investor. And that's why historically, even when demand weakens, the price gap stays intact. New homes stay expensive and old ones remain cheaper. And for that relationship to flip, two things have to fail at the same time. One, demand has to slow, and two, one group of sellers has to lose the ability to wait. That combination is extremely rare in housing, but that's exactly what's happening now. And once you understand why this almost never happens, the numbers we're seeing start to make a lot more sense. So let's talk about what the data is actually showing. As of October 2025, the median price of a new home is about $392,000. The median price of an existing home, about $420,000. That's nearly a $30,000 gap. That is not just a rounding error, and it's not just noise in the data. You see, historically, new homes sell at a 10 to 20% premium over existing homes. That premium has survived high inflation, low inflation, rate hikes, rate cuts, and even recessions. So when that relationship inverts, it tells us something very specific about what's going on. Prices are no longer being set by demand alone. They're also being set by who is under pressure to sell. And right now, only one side of the market is under pressure to sell. Now, to understand this flip, you have to understand something else that's important. The housing market is no longer one market, it's two. Builders don't get to wait anymore. Every unsold home is a monthly bill for them. They have carrying costs. You see, construction loans accrue interest, labor doesn't stop, and materials are already paid for. You still have local taxes, and a finished home that doesn't sell is a liability. So when demand slows, builders don't debate, they react. And here's the important part. Most of that reaction doesn't show up in the headlines. Instead of slashing list prices publicly, builders adjust quietly. You see, mortgage rate buy-downs can lower payments by hundreds of dollars a month. Closing cost credits can equal tens of thousands of dollars in value. And upgrades remove friction without changing the sticker price, which means the effective price is often far lower than the advertised price. Builders are not pricing homes based on last year. They're pricing homes based on who can qualify today. Now, when you compare that to existing homeowners, most homeowners today are sitting on mortgage rates below 4%, some even below 3%. So selling means giving those rates up and replacing it with a rate double that for the same house or a smaller one. That doesn't make sense. So selling is no longer a financial upgrade, it's a penalty for many homeowners, which is what changes behavior. You see, instead of dropping the price of the home, homeowners can just adjust their expectations. They can wait. A lot of times homeowners, they anchor to past comps. They assume demand will return before they have to move. So supply stays artificially tight, not because homes aren't available, but because sellers refuse to meet the market. And that's how you end up with listings that sit, cut prices slowly, or just disappear off the market entirely. So you may be wondering, who does this flip hurt? See, this flip is not neutral. It creates clear losers. And the first group is existing home sellers. If you're selling an existing home right now, you're no longer competing just with the house down the street. You're also competing with brand new construction. You're competing with their warranties, with the incentives builders are offering, and with lower effective monthly payments at the end of the day. And that's a problem, because buyers don't compare homes by nostalgia. They simply compare by payment. See, if you can get a brand new home with a lower payment than your older home, your pricing power disappears. This is why we're seeing more price cuts, longer days on the market, and listings quietly pulled off the market instead of sold. Now, the second group that gets hurt are investors, especially investors who bought on the assumption that resale inventory would stay permanently scarce. When builders step in and fill demand directly, scarcity breaks. And when scarcity breaks, pricing leverage breaks with it. Now, on the flip side, let's talk about who benefits from this, because someone always does. This market favors buyers who understand incentives, not buyers chasing the lowest sticker price, buyers optimizing monthly payment. Builders are effectively acting like lenders right now. They're offering rate buydowns, closing cost credits, and quiet price concessions. In many cases, the real cost of a new home is tens of thousands lower than it looks on paper. This also helps first-time buyers, relocators, and anyone not locked into an old low-rate mortgage. You see, if you're flexible, new construction has quietly become the path of least resistance, which is something we've never seen in history. Now, with all of that said, this doesn't mean that the housing market is going to crash tomorrow, but it does mean something fundamental has changed already. The pricing power has shifted. For years, sellers dictated terms. Now, builders are negotiating, and homeowners are resisting, which creates imbalance. And markets don't resolve imbalance instantly. They resolve it through friction. That means lower volume, longer timelines, and selective repricing. And pressure doesn't hit everyone at once. It's more concentrated than that. First, it happens to builders, then to investors, then on life event sellers. That's people who have to sell due to some unforeseen event. And that's how housing actually resets, quietly, unevenly, and far earlier than the headlines admit. Now let's talk about what happens when markets flip like this. See, three things usually follow. The first, transaction volume stays low, people hesitate, sellers wait, and buyers negotiate harder. The second thing, price discovery happens unevenly. See, new homes will adjust first, but resales will lag. Third, something eventually forces movement, job changes, life events, or economic stress. That's when existing inventory will start responding to the same reality that builders already accepted. It won't be all at once, and it won't be everywhere, but it will be gradual regardless. So let's talk about why this matters so much. You see, headlines that say there's going to be a housing market crash, those are easy. They get clicks, but they miss the point. This market isn't breaking loudly, like everyone would expect. It's bending quietly. And the flip between new and existing home prices is one of the clearest signals of that shift. It tells us who's adapting, who's stuck, and where pressure is building. And that's far more useful than predicting a date. So if you take one thing away from this video, remember this: markets do not flip when prices collapse. They flip when incentives change. And when brand new homes become cheaper than old ones, that incentive has already shifted. The housing market hasn't paused, but it has moved on. And the people still waiting for the old rules to come back are going to feel that gap first.